Welcome back, everybody. This is the Sports Desk. I'm your host, Splash, or Ryan, whatever you want to call me. We got Jack. I did the wrong side again.
Almost, man.
Down below, I'm not going to screw this up. We got my boy, Stefan. Shout out to his Lightning. Yeah, shout out to his Lightning. We're going to get into some hockey talk in a little bit, but Tampa Bay, I want to lead with this. I saw a graphic the other day, and it was the location of Tom Brady's house compared to the titles that team wins. Because he lived in the Bay Area when the 49ers won all 5 of their titles. He lived in the Bay Area during the 1989 World Series, which was Giants A's, won by the A's. And then, he goes to Ann Arbor, Michigan. No big deal. The Red Wings win 2 titles. Michigan football wins a title. And then, of course, he goes to Boston. He wins 6 titles with the Patriots. The Red Sox had an 86-year curse broken and came back from down 0-3. These are unprecedented things in baseball. And he's there. The Red Sox won in 04, 07, 13, and 18. Sorry, Jack. And then the Bruins won in 11. And the Celtics won in 08, went back to another one in 10. And it's like, what? And now, as soon as Brady made the announcement in March 2020 to go down to Tampa, and then the pandemic starts, and Tampa Bay went from, I don't want to say a laughingstock, but
not necessarily the number one.
Like, the Buccaneers were entirely forgettable. Like, with all due respect to Tampa Bay, and of course now they have 2 Super Bowls, so you can't really say they're forgettable. They were they had the lowest winning percentage in the history of the NFL. It was one of the most forgettable franchises in the NFL. They just won a title, right? The Lightning were coming off a historic regular season for all the good reasons, right? This is as good as the 76 Canadiens, the 96 Red Wings, all those milestones. And then they have one of the worst playoff performances I've been around for. In 20 years of living, 15 years of watching these sports, you get swept by the 8 seed? What are you doing? And then they win a title in the bubble. Up in, I think the final was in Edmonton, right?
Edmonton, yeah.
Toronto? Okay. They win the final there. And then, hey, go back to back. Why not? 4th team to do it in the last, since the Oilers. Whoa.
No, I think it was the Penguins, right? 2016,
2017. The Penguins, the Penguins 16-17, the Red Wings 97-98, and the Penguins again 91-92. So this is the 4th time in 30 years. I meant to say 30, not 40. 4th time in 30 years that a team's gone back to back. There's your Tampa Bay Lightning. That's 3 titles. Oh, yeah, and the Rays, they're one of the best teams in baseball this year. Last year, just casually went to the World Series. So in the first, this is, I think, the 98th season of Tampa Bay sports, like major Tampa Bay sports. The first 94 featured how many titles? Just 2.
2?
04 Lightning and the 2002 Bucks. In the last 4 seasons, Tampa Bay has won 3 titles, been to 4 championships. Are you kidding me? The Lightning had been to 2 ever. Now they've been to 2 since Brady got there. The Buccaneers had been to 1 ever. They've been to 1 since Brady got there. And the Rays have been to 1 ever. And now they're 1 for 1. The Tampa Bay sports are 4 for 4 in going to title games. I don't think I've ever seen that. I know last year there was a Florida team. Wow. That was a stupid
Florida team.
Yeah, the Florida team, such as Tampa Bay. I know, like, the Dodgers and Lakers won titles last year, but the Kings didn't really do anything. Sorry, Jack. The Rams and Chargers didn't really do anything. Sorry,
not
Jack.
like the Chargers are going to do anything ever, so I'm not sorry about
Valid
that.
Point, but yeah, I just wanted first 4 minutes. We're going to talk about the heck is going. What's in the water down there in Tampa? I've been there. My grandparents, shout out to my grandmother and my uncle, they have a house in St. Petersburg. I've been to Rays games. What changed? Like,
it's the Tom Brady effect. You said it. We got the graphic. It happens just to be that the man for some reason has this aura, this winning ability, that chip on his shoulder. Because you're telling me, and I've been here since 2014. I've watched the abysmal seasons for the Rays. I've seen the Lightning, I've seen the Bucks, I've seen Jameis 30 for 30. I've seen bad sports. And then March 17th comes around 2020. We're in a pandemic. Oh my God, Brady's in a Buccaneer. It's either Super Bowl or they're gonna suck, this and that. And next thing you know, World Series appearance, you got a Stanley Cup title, you got a Super Bowl for the Bucks, And then you got out of nowhere, let's just top it off, a back-to-back Stanley Cup final again at home, none less to say, because last year bubble, it just seemed like they wanted to be like, listen, we're good enough, and we've got one more year before we have to worry about the cap salary. And they did it. They brought home a title in almost every sports league, and now it's up to the Rays before the Bucks to capture that World Series and give us the full circle that we're looking for.
I think it's up to the Kings or the Rams. I'd say more likely the Rams to kind of deliver on the winning season here to kind of get there. It feels like it's been a back and forth between Tampa, LA. It is, the ball is in our court right now. We got to get something done. It's got to be the
East versus West thing. The East Coast has got it now, and the West Coast has to deliver now because I don't know. I don't know what's in the water. I live here. I have a water filter myself, so I don't know what's actually in the water. But I gotta start drinking it because we're bringing home wins. We're bringing home titles. We're bringing home things we never thought we could have. Like, we're not a hockey town. Next thing you know, we've got Emily Arena is jumping for game. What was it, game 2? I was there. It was, and I've been to Detroit Red Wings games. I've been there when they were winning. That was hockey town. But when I tell you, and I was there, and I had some of the live stream going on. It was electric. It was the atmosphere you're looking for.
Pun intended?
Yes, pun intended.
Good catch.
But it's not only like a good feeling, but when you're living here and you're experiencing this firsthand, it's something more than just like, I guess, out of the ordinary. It's fun because you've got the Bucks Super Bowl win, you've got the Rays in the World Series, and honestly, I'm down the street from most of this stuff. So like everything is just dripping over into St. Petersburg, into Tampa, and it's giving Tampa a whole new life. It's like, listen, we need to have respect on our names. We've got Tom Brady. He delivered what he had to deliver. The Lightning, I still can't believe they did that. And like I said, watching it just makes you feel like when you're a part of it, it's just a whole new thing. It's a whole new experience.
And to be like surrounded with fans too. I think the fact that Tampa was able to do this time, they made up for last year when they did it in the bubble. Nobody was there watching. I think it was really cool how Gary Bettman actually invited them all around the podium or whatever the heck you want to call it, whatever you put the Stanley Cup on. And he actually invited them all around just like he did last year because that was a little tradition break. Normally he just presents it to the captain. This time, though, with no fans, he decided to give it to the whole team. And then he decided to kind of do a little homage to last year and give it to the whole team again. I thought that was a nice little touch. But to have fans in the building, full capacity nonetheless, I mean, you cannot beat that. You really cannot beat that. And I think your team is actually the first since the Kings in 2014 to win it on home ice, too. Or, no, the Blackhawks, actually, I forgot.
And that's just makes
against Tampa Bay.
Against Tampa Bay. See, we had to get it back ever since then. So we had that on our mind. But to be honest, though, I want to enjoy this. I am a little worried about the offseason, but as of right now, we're going to soak this in as much as we can. Hopefully the Rays can deliver something. And you never know. In 3 months from now, we could be talking about a Rays World Series, or even if they can go back to the World Series, it means something, let alone win it.
And I mean, the offseason looks pretty stacked too. I mean, you got the expansion draft coming up soon. There's already been a pretty significant move. I don't think it's really being talked about enough. The Kings trading for Victor Arvidsson. I think that was a complete steal. Not to sound biased there, but I mean, oh my God, that was a steal. And then more news coming out of the NHL that actually kind of it broke on the same day as Tampa won the Stanley Cup, so it kind of got lost in the festivities. Vladimir Tarasenko officially requested a trade from the St. Louis Blues.
He wants to win a Stanley Cup. Come down to Tampa. I mean, come on. We're winners over here.
He won in 2019, so there's that.
Yeah, he did. Oh, by the way, Patrick Maroon has won the last 3 Stanley Cups.
Yes.
On the Blues and the 2 Tampa Bay Lightning teams. That's pretty impressive.
He reminds me of – he's like the NFL's version of Kenyon Barner. The guy goes on the Bucks. He's on these teams that win Super Bowls, the Patriots, Bucks, and the Eagles. 3 straight Super Bowls in 4 years. But it's a whole different thing because Maroon plays more. He's more involved. But those stats right there just kind of blow my mind because it's like wow, 3 rings, 3 teams, or 3 rings and 2 teams. So it's kind of a good little accolade to have on his name, you know?
Yeah.
So before we continue down the NHL rabbit hole, if either the Buccaneers or Rays are able to win the upcoming title, Tampa Bay would be the second city ever to have 4 titles in 2 years. The only other time was 1927 and 1928, New York. The Giants won the 1927 NFL title. The Yankees won the 27 and 28 World Series, and then the Rangers won the 1928 Cup. This is not that really ever happens. The only team since 2000, you have the Greater New York area, Devils and Yankees in 2000. You have the Lakers and Angels in 2002, and I'm sure Jack could have a whole segment on the Angels or Anaheim, not Los Angeles, but whatever. The greater Boston area in 04, Patriots, Red Sox, and 18, Patriots, Red Sox. Oh, yeah. And then the 2020 Lakers and Dodgers. So this had happened 3 times in my lifetime. It's happened twice in the last year, which I think is incredible. And I have a different view on this because all of my teams are from different cities, so I don't have like the connection that I would imagine both of you guys have with your teams that all of them like into each other. But
I will make you a little bit of a compromise. I do like if you want to say like the greater Los Angeles region, then we can count the Angels because Anaheim is technically a part of that. So we can put it that way. But yeah,
that's fair. And there's the list of these are like some of the legendary teams ever, and it's crazy to see that it's happened twice in just 12 years. It happened twice in the calendar year of 2020. Two teams that won the titles were LA teams. 2 teams that won the titles were Tampa teams. I love when these kind of little quirks happen in history because it had never happened. This is the kind of thing that had only happened in back-to-back years once, and that was the 1927-1928 season, happened to be the same city. But I love history.
Aren't you glad to be alive in this time? Aren't you just happy to see what, like, even if it's not your team, like watching the LA Dodgers and the LA Lakers win it, I'm like, this is just like, it's crazy because when 2 teams win it from the same city, it's that you get that unity in that state itself.
Yeah.
Like Tampa is a city up and coming. You know, they're trying to build a bunch of new stuff everywhere, but like to have that, like the Super Bowl was amazing. I wasn't there. I was down the street from it, but like it was just a whole different aura, a whole different like atmosphere. And then the Rays in the World Series, it just brought like a whole new life because LA is, you know, LA, even if it's not both the teams, one of the teams are going to be there somewhere. You get Clippers, Lakers, Dodgers, you get anyone. But when teams like this have it, you just go, it's one of those times where you just want to enjoy the moment regardless of the team. Look at the history, like you're saying. I love being here. I mean, I've been here since 2014. I keep saying it. But ever since I came down here, it's been nothing but success. And it's just like, you can't take away from it. You enjoy it. Even though Lightning weren't my team years ago, but you know what? Being here, living here, it just, you adopt that culture. You adopt what they bring to the table. And they haven't disappointed the last 2 years. And let's see how much longer we can keep this going.
I mean, that's a real question I feel like has to be posed here is like, what's the audio? I hear some audio in the background. I don't know what that is. Might be my phone, actually. I think my phone's going off.
Yeah, just go ahead and mute that. You're good.
You're supposed to mute my. I forgot. That's bad etiquette.
Fired. Yeah. I'm joking. I'm going to throw it to a chat question I just got. This is from Chef Squill on the app. Hey, Chef, Will, come by our show sometime. Do a collab. He says, can the Lightning become a dynasty? And for the uninitiated, hockey's a little weird with how they qualify dynasties. In other sports, it's a dynasty or not a dynasty. The NHL has like rules. Like if you win 3 titles in a row, that's a dynasty, right? If you win 4 out of 5, that's a dynasty. If you win 5 out of 7, that's a dynasty. So, for example, the 90s and 2000s Red Wings is not a dynasty because they only won back-to-back and they didn't win 3 in 3 years, 4 and 5, or 5 and 7 years. They were close, but they didn't end up doing that.
Chicago fans will tell you about that. By the way, they just wouldn't stop bragging about 3 and 4 years, and then it became 3 and 5, 3 and 6, 3 and 6. Not really dynasty anymore, guys.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as I can recall, the last true NHL dynasty was the Oilers that won 5 and 7 years from 84 to 90.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's insane. And then immediately before that, the Islanders won 4 in a row and won 19 straight playoff series. So, with those two being the last remnants of dynasties, the early 80s Islanders and the 84 to 90 Oilers, will the Lightning finish the deal and become an NHL-approved dynasty? I can already argue they're a dynasty. You had the best record in 19, won a title in 21, a title in 21.
Yeah.
That's fine. But will they, technical definition, will they become a dynasty, yes or no?
I mean, this was the question that I was just about to ask before my phone went off, was like, this team really, I feel like, is the closest thing we've had to it. Not only because of everything you just said, but also because 2015, they won another cup run. 2019, their playoff run wasn't that great, but their regular season run was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And then you go back to back in terms of Stanley Cups. Now, Something else to keep in mind. I hate that I have to bring this up. It's kind of a shame, but I will kind of bring it up. I mean, Stefan, you're going to probably kill me for bringing this up, but the fact that it was shortened seasons in which they won back-to-back cups. It's back-to-back cups. You can't take it away. They're champions no matter what.
Right.
But it just makes you wonder. It really does just make you wonder.
I mean, it does. It's like the NBA season last year, the whole bubble layoff, Lakers winning it. And even this year, people want to complain, the whole short-term turnaround, the whole Suns injuries thing. And you're right. I mean, there's always going to be people that are saying one thing, people that are saying another thing. But at the end of the day, when you win the NBA Finals, you win the Stanley Cup back-to-back, that just cements it regardless. And people, like I said, there were always going to be people that want to diminish the value of that championship.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what? At this point, you want to let them because – not to sound rude, but it sounds like that's what they want to do, and let them do it because at the end of the day, Tampa won back-to-back. The LA Lakers, they won theirs in a bubble. Like, I think up until next year is when we're going to get the final, like, okay, now we're back to sports. Now we're back to our regular season. We have the off season, but you can't add an asterisk to it. You can't add like a what if, because it's like any finals you go to, you're going to say a what if thing, So it does.
I think the bigger what if in terms of this particular NHL season is the fact that you only played like 7 other teams this year. I mean, who knows what happens if you're on the usual schedule? You're playing every other team in the league at least twice a year. I mean, Tampa Bay still has a good team. I'd argue the result probably would not have been that much different. But it just makes you wonder, like, what happens if they have to travel all over the place? They have to play teams both from the U.S. and Canada. It's that kind of thing that like people try to talk about and try to bring up. I mean, like you said, they can't take it away. I said it too. You can't, like, no matter what, at the end of the day, you're not going to take the Stanley Cup away from the Tampa Bay Lightning. It just makes you wonder. Like, and that's all it ever is going to be, though. But
yeah, it's always an afterthought, and it's right. And it's like in any sport, you're thinking like, what if this had happened? What if that had happened? And if I'm not too wrong, I think back in 2004, didn't the Lightning have to hold the cup for almost 2 years because of the lockout that they had?
Yes.
Okay, so stuff like, I mean, in the world of sports, like I said, we didn't know this was going to happen. It happened, but at least we get to enjoy history. Like I'm telling Splash, like, aren't you glad to be alive when this is happening? Because even if it's somewhere else, you can't just be like, oh, well, if this happened, if that happened, because at that point, it's like you have to enjoy what you're watching and enjoy what's going on. Even if it was, say, the Ravens in the Super Bowl, you know what? Regardless, it's a Super Bowl. If they do good, they do good. You can't give them you can't take away anything. But next year, with the cap salary issues, if this team can hold together their core, if they can hold together most of their team, we'll see what they could do with a full season, And maybe Jack is right. Maybe we're looking at a year from now a 3-peat. I don't know. We got to see what goes on, though.
I mean, fingers crossed we get a more normal schedule next year. I heard one of the options is just to split it kind of east and west and just have them play like that next year. It's just trickier for the NHL than it is for most other leagues because you look at the MLB, for example, they've only got one team from Canada, and they can just move down to like Buffalo or something and play their home games there. Whereas the NHL, you've got 7 teams in Canada. So there's constant travel back and forth between the two borders. And right now that border's closed. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that we'll get a more normal year. I don't want to play the same 7 teams all year long. It really makes you hate teams you never thought you'd hate.
Exactly. Because you're looking at repetitively, then you're like, okay, same guys. I just want Canada to go back to normal because I watched game 4. Their stadium looked good. You're just missing. You're missing that. You're missing that feeling, that aroma, that atmosphere that you saw in Tampa. Because I'm looking at Montreal, I'm like, wow. Looking around, the stands are basically empty. And that team cannot feed off the energy.
It's loud in there, but it's not like as loud as it is. Like you look at that compared to Tampa, it's just on a restriction-based thing. But like Tampa's crowd is just packed, and then Montreal's playing in front of a limited capacity. And it's like, you have fans crowding outside the Bell Center cheering. That's good, but that's not in the arena.
It's a whole different ball game when you have the fans. They feed off the energy, the players feed off the fans' energy. It's like you look at Buffalo and NFL. It's like that team loves their fans, and whenever their fans are bumping, that team is roaring. So I mean, hopefully next year we get Canada back to normal. We can see more of those games, and like I said, more diverse. We're not playing the same 7 teams over and over and over again. So
Absolutely.
we just gotta hope.
And I'm gonna draw a bigger point here. Before any of the leagues resumed back in June 2020, I wrote an article, and I said essentially that you shouldn't attach any asterisks. No asterisks. And I looked historically at the teams that had won titles in these asterisk seasons. You go back to 1981. It's the 1981 Washington football team. Or 1982, I'm sorry. It was 1981 baseball strike. The Dodgers won the World Series. Really? Are you shocked that the Dodgers won a World Series? No. You go to 1982 and 1987, the NFL strikes. The same team won both of them, Washington. They added a third in 1991. So they kind of said, okay, we have this questionable title in a 9-game season. Mark Mosley won MVP that season. You have a questionable MVP or a questionable title, and then you win another one, and then you win another one. Okay, cool. You go 1994, there was no baseball season. 2005, there was no hockey season. So those are just totally thrown out. But you look at in 1995 in the NHL, there was shortened season. Devils win the title. They won another title a few years down the line. They kind of said, yep, we've won another title. That's cool. You look at the 1999 NBA season. The Spurs won their first title of 5. Yep. Come on. Like, you answer to that title. You also have the 2013 Blackhawks, one of the greatest regular season teams ever in terms of points.
No, but I find it funny that particular one. Nobody talks about that. Like, people are talking about asterisks all the time, but then Chicago gets their title in 2013, and no one's giving that an asterisk. Like, come on,
because they won titles on either side of it. They won in 2010. They won in 2015.
They did.
Let's say hypothetically, I guess Boston was in the final that year. Let's say some random team, like let's say Winnipeg won the title that year, and Winnipeg did nothing else the rest of the decade. Then you could say, maybe that's a little faulty. This is what you're going to do with the Miami Heat, and I'm going to get to it. Having LeBron James win an NBA Finals is totally fine. That's not an outlier in any way, shape, or form. Having the Los Angeles Dodgers win a title is not an outlier in any shape or form. Having Tom Brady win a Super Bowl is not an outlier in any shape or form. And having the Tampa Bay Lightning win a title, then immediately go back. And you're talking the last full season, they were the best team in hockey and then got shocked in a playoff round. Then they win the title. So if you want to say, well, throw an asterisk there, well, what about the other times in history that teams win the title and then immediately answer? And the other baseball season I was thinking of was the 95 season. That was 144 games rather than 162 because the strike bled into early April. Braves won that title. That was the only title they won. That's the only title that has remotely an asterisk, but you remember the Braves as the team of the 90s. They went to the World Series in 91, 92, 90, 95, and 1, 96, and 98. Or 99, not 98. But these teams that win titles in these lockout seasons, in these strike seasons, in these pandemic seasons, it's exactly what you would expect. If you told someone heading into the 2019-2020 seasons that the Lightning were going to win the title, that the Lakers were going to win the title, and that the Dodgers were going to win the World Series, no one is arguing with it's like, yeah, that's fine. Those are 3 realistic things to happen. All 3 happen to happen. So I don't want to have the asterisk conversation because,
I mean, if we're being honest, like, because an asterisk, what are they looking for when they want to? It's you can throw an asterisk on anything. Oh, if this team was depleted versus another team, but these, like you said, these teams that are winning, we're going to win regardless. Either it's a full season, and even Jack said it might have been an altered series, for the Lightning. It might have been a game here or there, but regardless, the only team that really
4-1.
Exactly. Also 4-2. And worst case 4-3. But we knew they were going to be there. It's the only team, and I'm gonna kind of sound like bad saying because I'm from here. It's the Buccaneers. We didn't know what they were going to bring, but we knew that they were going to bring something. We knew that the Lightning would be back in the finals again, or even in the semifinals. But it's those teams, like I said, the Braves, that win that one Super Bowl or that one World Series or that one title and then disappear.
And even they are the team of the 90s. And even the Buccaneers, sure, they had weird expectations for the team that eventually won the Super Bowl. But hey, your Super Bowl MVP has 4 other Super Bowl MVPs.
He's carried worse teams to the like the ones that he's lost or won. He's carried worse teams to that. So why are people surprised about it at the end of the day?
Yeah, I was actually writing an article about the Buccaneers last night and how they were going to repeat, and they have 10 legitimate superstars on the defense
and that draft class too.
Yeah, Jordan Whitehead is the only player that's going to play a lot of snaps for Tampa Bay that isn't like if you say is a superstar, I would argue with.
Right, right.
I love Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh is on the older side, but he's still good. JPP and Shaq Barrett is one of the best pass rushing duos in football. I think Devin White is very overrated, but he's really good. Levante David is.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah, Levante David's awesome. Devin White. I don't know what these ESPN analysts think.
I like it personally. I mean,
what? But then I love Carlton Davis. I love Sean Murphy Bunting. I love Jamel Dean, and then Antoine Winfield probably wins Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year a lot of seasons. He just didn't happen to last year because I don't know, Chase Young exists, but. This Tampa team is loaded, and there is a strong argument that Tom Brady is the weak link, and he's the GOAT.
I was actually about to bring that up when you meant like you keep talking about how the defense is full of superstars. I feel like their defense carried them in that Super Bowl. Honestly, like Tom made a couple nice throws. Don't get me wrong. Points. Yeah, they did have 31 points, but I mean, they kept handing Tampa Bay good field position. Because of their defense, they kept getting good picks. They kept forcing turnovers. Mm-hmm. I feel like Tampa Bay's defense was just.
I mean, he's right. To be honest, I mean, Tom Brady did what he was supposed to do on offense. He scored every drive. The defense, they did something that, like, of course, you don't see anyone do to the Chiefs. No. So, when I see Jack saying is kind of right because Tom Brady did what he was supposed to do. You score on every drive you can. The defense did phenomenal, holding the most prolific offense in the NFL to only 9 points. So the defense did hand them a huge favor that Tom Brady actually never really has in games like that. You've never really seen a game where
this is the only blowout of his.
Exactly. When have you ever seen a Tom Brady Super Bowl? Every year I bet a 7-point spread because I know that game's going to go down to a catch, a touchdown, something that's going to end that game in a crazy ending.
Well, the Rams
right, exactly. To watch this last Super Bowl and it's a blowout, and I'm still not feeling comfortable. But I'm like, wait a minute, they're handling business on defense and. Rightfully so. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to watch when a good defense can play like that because we always see these offenses. Oh, like the whole Manning 13 offense was such a great offense, but then the defense exposed them in a way. It's just nice to see a collective team be so complete and then finish the job how they did.
Absolutely. Like that's 10 superstars just on the defense. Then you have an offense.
We haven't even mentioned the offense yet.
Antonio Brown is your wide receiver 3. Let that sink in. A Hall of Fame wide receiver in his prime.
The Oakland Raiders #1 receiver was our number 3 receiver.
Oakland Raiders legend.
Oh my goodness. Buffalo Bills legend.
Buffalo Bills legend. I love that more.
Okay, I got a story. So I write articles for a website called Primetime Sports Talk. Shout out to them. So was it like April, May? I was still home before I hadn't gone to school yet. April or May, middle of the night, one of the editors is like, Antonio Brown got traded to the Bills. So he frantically writes up this article, then he publishes it at like 3 a.m. And then the news cycle continues. And like when he wakes up, he's getting a bunch of angry messages from the Big Boss Man, who is different now. But Big Boss Man said, "What the hell are you doing?" And the Antonio Brown trade broke down. The article wasn't edited properly because we're supposed to have like one person writes, another person edits. Even if you are an editor, you get another person to check your work, whatever it may be. So I'm in this circumstance that I'm up at 3 a.m. because why would I not be up at 3 a.m? And Antonio Brown's a Bill. I wake up 3 hours later. Antonio Brown is not a Bill. What's going on? So I think that's one of the greatest like pull the wool over your eyes ever. It's if you just like took a nap, got on a plane, whatever you did to waste 2 or 3 hours, he's suddenly a Bill. What? Wow, Buffalo! You're adding talent. Josh Allen, this. They're going to go back to the playoff, and then all of a sudden it's, oh no, he's still on the Steelers. He's not going to play with the Steelers, but he's still on the Steelers.
So it's mine in the Steelers, but hey, he's not. And to be like that, to me it's funny because like I think I saw that. I'm not too sure, and I was like, wait a minute. Because I saw that was like flying around. I'm like, this cannot be true. Because at the time Brady's on the Pats. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be nice. Josh Allen's got a weapon. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. No, he's going to the Raiders.
Jets had Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Oh, great Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I love jabbing at Jets fans.
I do too. Hey, I do too. But I don't know, man. Someone tells me this year that offensive line is going to be a good reason for them to have at least 6 wins.
Ooh, I don't know that. At least you're not saying 8 and 9. At least you're not saying 8.
There are legitimately Jets fans out there saying 8 and 9, and I mean,
I work with Jets fans. I produce.
I'm every time we mention the Jets, I have to sit here awkwardly because it's like I want to shit on them so bad. I want to get them so bad, but we lost to them.
Hey, listen. You never know, though. You never like it. It might not be pretty on paper, but if this team comes out and wins 6 or 7 games, to me personally, watching
we are never going to hear the end of it.
Exactly. It's like
I can see it happening. I just don't think it will. So actually, that brings me to a question I have. Who is the team in your eyes that if you okay, I'm going to explain how I do it, and I'll ask it. So I can see some teams have a path to winning a title. I can make a reasonable path for the Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Oh my God!
Tom Brady goes back to Detroit.
Well, no, good one. The strong offensive line. You lean on the running game. Jared Goff has won games in the NFL. You have like a grinded out game. You win a bunch of 20-17 games. You get good production from the rookies on your defensive line. Jeff Okudah becomes what you think he's going to be. I can see I don't think it's going to happen. I will probably bet the under on whatever Detroit's win total is. Don't get me wrong. But I can see a path for them. Houston, if Deshaun Watson plays, they can win games.
If. It's a season.
Yes, Deshaun Watson carries at least 4 wins for a player. I think, like, you know how players carry certain wins with them regardless if they're on the team. Like, if you could put LeBron on the worst team, he's going to guarantee you 25 to 30 wins because it's LeBron James. I see Deshaun Watson as a 4 or 5 win quarterback with the worst team. And unfortunately, they were worse last year. But I see the point you're making, and it's a very fair point.
So who would you say, now that my reasoning's out there, who would you say is the team that you would have the hardest time making an argument for winning the title?
The Jets.
The Jets.
Really.
Only because I like their drafts. I like what they've drafted, what they've signed, like Zach Wilson.
I want to hear Splash. Do you have a path for the Jets to win the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you go into that division and
trading for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know.
So you go into that division and you look at who are you facing, because you have to essentially beat your division to like have any really shot. The Buccaneers are the only team in the last 15 years to, I guess, the 07 Giants, but the Buccaneers last year, one of the only teams ever to go in as a wild card and win the Super Bowl.
3 road games. Yep.
Yeah, so you have to be better than the other 3 teams in your division. If the Bills get regression from Josh Allen, I don't trust the defense. So if your offense falls from elite to like pretty good, and the defense is like totally average, I don't know how much trust I have in that. The Patriots, they went 7-9 last year. They bring all that talent back, but it's probably going to be a struggle for them moving the football offensively in the passing game. I like Hunter Henry, friend of the show. I like Jonnu Smith. I love Damian Harris, but it's still going to be a struggle for them to move the football. And I think that defense is beginning to crack. We had an argument on the app today that, where do you rank Stephon Gilmore? We can talk about that later, actually. I have Stephon Gilmore number 6 corner, and I have J.C. Jackson right in behind him. But if you're telling me that Stephon Gilmore coming off an injury and he's, I believe, over 30 now, and he's your best player, you're not in a great spot. New England has one of the weird pass rushes in the NFL. It's like Baltimore, that it doesn't really matter who they're throwing at you. They're going to like sometimes get pressure. So if that like formula fails a little bit, New England takes a step back. Miami has Tua, great unknown. And I think they overachieved a little bit last year. I don't think the defense is quite second best in the NFL caliber. They're good. They're not just.
Were people calling them that?
I believe they finished
something like that. Yeah, they were.
They were up there. Then they allowed 56 to Baltimore.
It was straight scoring, though. He's right. If it wasn't fast scoring defense, it wouldn't be anywhere near that. But
yeah, no kidding.
So if you have my path for the Jets to win the division is regression from Josh Allen, regression from the Miami defense. Then I don't trust the other unit to be good enough to say, I don't know, be the number 10 offense and number 10 defense. That's a pretty good team. If they're the number 8-10 offense, the number 15 defense, who knows at that point? The Falcons had a top 15 scoring defense for most of 2020. So just think about that before you say, well, 15th is pretty good. The Atlanta Falcons in 2020, allowing 30 points every single week, had a 12-game stretch that they were a top 15 scoring defense, better than the Bears the last 12 games of the season. But regardless,
that's the Bears.
Yeah, with the Jets, I love what they've done on the defensive line. They're going to have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. On the offensive line, Morgan Moses is one of the biggest floor raisers in the NFL, and I was on the Jet show with Austin. I'm blanking on his last name. PFF Austin, I think that's his title.
Yeah,
but he said
Austin
that
Gale, I think it is,
yeah,
or something like
one
that.
of the things that PFF, for example, looks for, and one of the things that I think a lot of people should look for is just raising the floor. This is one reason why the Packers could turn into a very elite defense as soon as Kevin King gets shipped to Siberia. So,
well, keep him, please.
Yeah. So you remove the worst link. In the Jets, it was the right tackle. In the Packers, it would be Kevin King. You remove that, replace him with anyone that's league average. If Eric Stokes is a halfway decent player, the Packers will have one of the best defenses in the NFL. If Morgan Moses is a respectable right tackle, the Jets will have at least a top 20 line. You're talking about Becton, Vera Tucker, McGovern. It's a question mark at right guard, but right guard is arguably the least important position on the offensive line. And then Morgan Moses, that's 4 at least solid players. And you're going to have just fill in at right guard, whoever it may be, as long as they're remotely competent, you're going to be good. You get a strong running game. Michael Carter, you've seen rookies in the past take the league by storm. If Michael Carter takes the league by storm, I'm not surprised at all. Zach Wilson, rookie quarterbacks have a ceiling. I know that, but frankly, my team went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco 4 or 5 times. So quarterback isn't necessarily the most important position if you want to make the playoffs. Now, in the general sense, yes, the quarterback is the most important position. But if you have enough good players at other positions, you can overcome a rookie quarterback in this instance.
Exactly.
The weapons, I don't love the weapons. I don't want to argue they're so much better than New England, but I do like Corey Davis. Jamison Crowder is a good player. Denzel Mims, I like. Chris Herndon is not better than Mark Andrews. Shout out to Frankie for that one.
I've been waiting for Chris Herndon to explode for the last 10 years of his career. And it's every year I'm like, this is the year. This is the year. Even Ian Herditz is on Twitter saying, this is Herndon's year. This is Herndon's year. I'm like, you know what? I'm on board. And then another disappointment.
So jumping back to the defense, I love the defensive front. It's one of the best in football. I love Quinnen Williams. I remember arguing with Nick that pick Q at 3. You're not going to regret it. And Jets fans yesterday were pretty happy that he was number 9 on the interior defensive line ranking. Anyways, the edge guys, it's like the same old as New England, that the Jets never really have that superstar edge, but they always have a good pass rush. Like the Jets, it's the Steelers offensive line, the Broncos offensive line, the Packers offensive line, Ravens linebackers, and the Jets defensive line. And the Packers quarterback for the last 30 years. These are the positions that are always good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The Jets will always have a good pass rush without a superstar edge player, which is one of the weirdest things, but it happens. The linebackers and secondary, I'm going to be honest, I don't love, but if you have a good enough pass rush, it makes things happen. Jack can attest to this, that, of course, Jalen Ramsey's back there, but when Aaron Donald is going full Aaron Donald, it doesn't matter who is back there in the secondary. If the Jets get the production I think they can get from Q, and the production I think they can get from, is it Bryce Huff, and the other guys along that line, John Franklin Myers, it's not Taki, that's the Browns linebacker, Florenzo Fatakasi. You get production out of all those guys, and you're talking a huge defensive production in terms of sacks, in terms of pressures, in terms of quarterback hits, and then you're also stopping the run, so no one can run on you. And it's hard to throw on you because you have a great pass rush. And then you have Marcus May patrol in the back end. You get development from Ashton Davis. You get development from – they have drafted 5 linebacker safety hybrids. One of them is going to be competent. I love Jamie Sherwood. You have Nazarene. You have Michael Carter II. Not to be confused with Michael Carter I that plays offense for them. But the Jets, I think, have enough pieces on defense that they could be a competent group. And then offensively – I've seen a team win a Super Bowl in the Broncos in 97 that Elway didn't play very well that playoff run. Terrell Davis just went crazy. So if you can get a guy that goes, a running back that can go crazy like that, you saw Derrick Henry in 2019, Raheem Mostert in the 2019 NFC title game, you can win a game here or there. The Jets have talent. It's just less talent than other teams in the league. But if you raise the floor at right tackle, which they did, and at quarterback, which I think Zach Wilson will be a better pro quarterback than Sam Darnold, then you start pushing towards like being a remotely good football team. And like we saw last year with Washington, they were the worst team in the playoffs by a long shot. And Taylor Heineke almost beat Tampa. Like, come on now. So I know it's a stretch.
He played so well. I still don't know if he's going to be the starter next year or this year.
Detroit is a stretch. Like I said, Houston's a stretch. The Jets are a stretch. The Jags are probably a stretch. But I don't think the Jets are the answer. I actually don't know what my answer to my own question would be. It's not Detroit because I'm pretty set that Detroit can win the Super Bowl if a lot of things go their way. Probably Houston. Actually, it might be Jacksonville. I don't love their defense, but you know what? It happens.
By the way, bringing up your Aaron Donald point, because you talk about how Aaron Donald, he no matter who you put on the line with him, Sam Monson from PFF made a hilarious joke. I'm just going to read the tweet because he quoted something from the check down asking who you rocking with pass rush duos if you could only choose one. And Sam Monson, however you say it, Monson, he quote tweets this with Aaron Donald and the fan sitting in seat 49C of the 300 block. And I'm like, he's not wrong because that's the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy Aaron Donald is.
Oh, Stefan, were you on the show that we asked
how many people can block Aaron Donald?
Yeah,
that was that was the first live I've ever got, and I'm like, just get everyone you can because like Jack's saying, Aaron Donald, the best duo you've ever seen.
Okay, so
Aaron and Donald.
Okay, would you rather try to tackle Derrick Henry or block Aaron Donald?
Tackle. Oh,
that's a question I asked. 1 yard at the 1 yard line for $1 million.
Oklahoma.
Let me find it. I want to make sure I get this exactly right.
Because remember, Aaron Donald trains with knives.
As Splash always brings up.
I don't know because I'm gonna get tossed regardless. I'm gonna get Josh Norman or I'm gonna get just
the Derrick Henry stiff arm.
I think I would rather be with the Aaron Donald side than a Derrick Henry stiff arm, to be honest. Because
I want to find the question. I need to do some digging really quick. But this was like I thought this was funny as hell.
Okay, and how many people do you think it would take to let's see. Oh, actually, I posted this question on the app the other day. We're going to do some cross-sport things. Do you think if you had an NBA player that played in the NFL, just dropped him in the NFL, versus having an NFL player dropped in the NBA, who do you think would have an easier time, doing like scoring points? Who would be more likely to score a touchdown, or would? Okay, so we have let's say 6 points in the NFL, so 1 touchdown, or 6 points in an NBA game. Which do you think would be easier for the other sports athletes to do?
I think Darren Waller could score 6 points in the NBA pretty easy.
I think, yeah. I think that's fair. There are some freaks in both sports, like LeBron. If LeBron's running around,
I was about to bring up LeBron. I think there was a video of him throwing a football full court and nailing the shot.
Yeah. So I mean,
basketball hoops. So
I actually had a different point. I was talking with my mom about this. That I think baseball players, if you had a random baseball player, they'd be more likely to score in the NBA and score in the NFL than an NFL player would be to hit a home run in baseball.
I feel like Ohtani can sit there and throw a touchdown pass. This guy could do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Ohtani can, yeah.
So that'd be the one guy I think in the baseball that could do it. Outside of Aaron Judge being a good DN, maybe. Otherwise,
Judge could be interesting. There's some pitchers that are interesting but generally pitchers are really bad athletes.
They throw the ball well, and that's about all they can do.
Should we
see that? Should we mention the highlight from the Padres game, by the way?
Oh, a relief pitcher hitting a grand slam.
Yeah, that was the best thing ever.
This is one off Max Scherzer. First of all,
that's impressive.
That's a low light for Max Scherzer.
That's a future Hall of Famer, 3-time Cy Young. He's going to get to 3,000 strikeouts in 2 months. That what an accomplishment! Second career at bat. Mans is a relief pitcher for
and he hits a grand slam.
I would never let him live that
against
down.
Max Scherzer.
I would have that posterized somewhere on my wall as that guy. Hey Max, I would send him cards for Christmas with a grand slam.
And the Padres ended up winning. They were down 8-0 yesterday. They came back and won 9-8. Shout out to my boy Tommy Pham. He's on my fantasy team, and one of my favorite players in the league, Trent Grisham. Although he's a national fan. So yeah. So what a time to be alive.
So I found the actual
world.
question here. So it's you're offered $1 million to meet one of these players on the goal line. Would you rather be a running back trying to get past Aaron Donald or a defender trying to stop Derrick Henry?
Defender past or I try to get past Aaron Donald. I would pray to God my offensive line can stop him for 2 seconds.
I think if I'm doing an Oklahoma drill, I would rather run sideways and like not take the full force of Donald, because Henry, as the offensive player, Henry dictates what's going to happen. If he wants to run to the outside, he can. If he wants to run straight forward, he can. Aaron Donald is not dictating what's happening. That's actually what makes him so great, because he's the one. Usually defensive players are very reactionary. Aaron Donald is the one just screwing up everything the offense tries to do. But if I'm the running back, I can try to take an angle that I'm not going to get killed. I'm only going to get 60% killed. Right? It's like
you'll be a vegetable after.
You remember that meme? There's like 1% of Shaggy versus like whatever, or Matt from Wii Sports. Aaron Donald is like that mythical level of, again, he trains with knives, folks. We need to get that on a shirt.
We are going to get that on a shirt.
Oh, yes, like Aaron Donald's a bunch of knives.
I would wear that every show if it happens. Frankie, make it happen. Anyways, I think if you just like if you're not running straight forward, he's going to tackle you. This is a foregone conclusion unless you're a track star, and I'm not a track star. He is going to tackle you. So I'm thinking I would rather be tackled I don't want to say half-heartedly, but I would rather be tackled in a non-life-altering manner by Aaron Donald than get my face pounded in or get trucked or any number of things by Derrick Henry. I think Donald's a better player, but I think as the offensive player, I could control more in the Donald situation than I could as a defensive player in the Henry situation. I'll take being dumped for a loss of 20 by Aaron Donald. He's just going to hit me in like
first and goal with the one, then first and goal with 20.
Fingers crossed that your
state game.
Fingers crossed that your offensive line. Fingers crossed that your off. We keep interrupting each other. Fingers crossed your offensive line doesn't single team Aaron Donald.
Oh boy,
he has. I don't think he's ever lost one of those.
Wow,
that'd be fun to look up. Actually, has he ever lost like how many single?
I'm sure
one-on-one
he's lost
matchups
some because it's. Really
I know he's not perfect. I know he's not perfect.
It's hard to win every rep. But it makes Donald so special that he's double team, triple team, and still wins a decent portion of his reps.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the like all-time guys. Aaron Donald has 6 All-Pros.
He's a Hall of Famer to me.
He's a Hall of Famer
regardless.
If he retired tomorrow, Jack would probably cry, but he would be a Hall of Famer.
No, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes.
I believe he is easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. All in all.
You look at some guys in the league, there are very few that get to 6 All-Pros. There's Brady has 3. The GOAT in football has 3 All-Pros. Aaron Rodgers, who people say is better than Tom Brady, has 3. The only well, I guess quarterback is a little bit different because they always only have 1. Defensive line, you can't have 2. You know, there was that one year that TJ Watt was, or the one year that Khalil Mack was both an outside linebacker and a defensive end All-Pro.
God. So
you can kind of like pick and choose a little bit. Like if you're a wide receiver, there's 3 spots, quarterback's only 1. But Aaron Donald is on the very short list of guys to have 6 All-Pros. And when you start walking up 7, 8, 9, 10, no one's ever gotten 11. The guys to get 10 are Jim Otto, longtime Raiders center, Jerry Rice, and then some guy I'm totally blanking on right now, which I really shouldn't be blanking on. We're going to skip that. But then like 9, 8, 7, we're talking about legends of the game, guys that were legendary. Wow. What great word choice. Yeah, legend, wait for it, dairy. Good job, Ryan. But 6 All-Pros, 7 Pro Bowls. I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
So I have a question then for you, Splash. Yeah. How many do you save Aaron Donald retires in 5, 6? I don't know when he's going to retire. He looks like a freaking machine. Terminator is never going to retire. How many do you think he actually finishes with by the end of his career?
This is tough because with projecting Donald in the first place was difficult because he's so different from the prototypical defensive lineman.
Right.
Because he's what, 6 foot 280? And a lot of defensive linemen are 6'4", 320, like much bigger folks. So you have to. I would be surprised if it's fewer than 8.
Fewer than 8?
Yeah, fewer than if it's more than 8, then it's kind of that LeBron stretch that you just have no hope of guessing how many first team All NBAs he's going to get. There was like a point in his career that, there's a chance next year he falls off. There's a chance in 2 years he falls off, but you just don't know. So I would say if it's fewer than 8, he has a disappointing end to his career. If it's more than 8, then honestly he could have 12. So it's weird. It's weird to see.
When is he going to retire? Like, this guy's been around since forever now. Like, I'm watching him now get drafted. I'm like, this man his productivity is just phenomenal. The way that he just always produces every year, injury, no injury. Like, this man's going to always be there.
Okay. I think I would be very surprised if he's not an active player of the Rams in 2025, which that would be that'd be his 12th season in the NFL.
I think he could honestly.
I think he gets there.
If he learns
2025 and 2030, I think.
If he learns anything from Andrew Whitworth, he'll be there for that long, maybe even longer.
Okay.
Andrew Whitworth did say he might retire after this year, but he's going. Like, what is he entering? Year 16 now?
Yeah, he was 05 pick, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. I'm going to say this: Aaron Donald gets inducted into the Hall of Fame in the 2030s.
That's fair. I think that's a really fair assessment.
I like it.
Which it gives me a pretty big window because that means he can retire as early as like 2025 and retire as late as 2035. So I've a solid 10 years of window. So
oh God, this is why Stefan, you were saying to appreciate greatness while you're seeing it, because Aaron Donald, to think he's not gonna be in the NFL in 10 years is kind of crazy to think about. And
it's regardless of the team. Like, I don't care. Like, it's like, the teams I hate, you still have to watch Aaron Donald, Lamar Jackson. You got to watch everyone on these teams as they're having it now, because even LeBron James, love him, hate him, whatever you say of him, in 5 years, he's going to be gone, and we're going to be looking like, wow, remember when LeBron was doing that, it's like, just hate, love him, I don't care. Just enjoy the sport, enjoy what's happening, and then in 5 years when you have kids, oh my God, I remember watching LeBron James. I remember watching the most dominant defensive lineman, Aaron Donald. Oh, the Lightning back-to-back. Oh,
Brady, 17 goals.
Like that would be the story I tell my kids for years. I will make them sit down and watch every Super Bowl so they know exactly who he was.
So I want to get into some NBA talk about the finals in a little bit, but I want to hear your thoughts on delineating between the greatest, the best, and most talented. I think I've talked about it before on the show. Maybe Jack has. Stefan, I want your thoughts. How do you delineate? We'll say for the sake of this, quarterback. So for me, Brady is the GOAT. Rodgers is the best because he has the best single season. Right. And Mahomes is the most talented. So if you're making a Madden roster, Brady has all of the accolades. Pro Football Reference, check him. He has all the accolades. It's probably not going to be touched in those. Rodgers has the single highest peak, 2011. Followed very closely by 2020. And then Patrick Mahomes, if you're making a Madden character with potential, he has the highest potential of any quarterback I've seen. What say you?
So you're saying basically three guys I would...
Maybe it doesn't have to be 3 guys. They could all be Brady. That's fine.
So could all be... You want me to mesh one perfect player, essentially?
Maybe just like when you're analyzing someone's greatness versus their talent versus like how good they are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so of course Brady's a go. Honestly, the way I look at it, it's like when someone wins something, but it's like they don't actually win it. It's like Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl and he had the crazy run, and then you have someone like Trent Dilfer. Like he wins it, but like,
exactly. The next year.
Exactly. So that's hard. I would honestly, my 3 guys I would like to put together in this scenario would be Brady, of course, because you got everything with him. Right. Would be Mahomes is the second to there, and to be honest, it's gonna sound crazy, but Josh Allen.
Whoa!
Yes, Josh Allen.
Did we push for hot takes at all? Do we need to,
hold on.
Do we need to get the?
I can see the argument. I think Mahomes is the most talented guy in the NFL. I think Kyler. Jack's gonna yell at the hot take and leave. But let me. Okay.
He hasn't. If he has it, he hasn't shown it yet. I'll say that.
I agree with that. I think Kyler is very overrated, but the talent is. is if you're having an all-time draft, hear me out. If you're having an all-time draft, and this is based purely on talent, based purely on athleticism, based purely on what they could do in a backyard game of football, Kyler Murray is not a bad number 1 overall pick.
Oh, not at all.
I would pick Mahomes, but Kyler is a guy that, you know how Lamar had like about 3,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing? Kyler could do that, add an extra 1,000 yards passing.
And I think his size, to be honest, like the backyard thing, makes it actually easier. Like, I know he's not the 6-foot guy, but like him being the size he is, it's kind of his advantage in a way because he's quick and
it makes you quick. The smaller guys are usually a lot quicker. I don't think height really. I mean, it could be an advantage, but
yeah. Hey, Brees was great at moving around the pocket. So I mean, and that's what Tua does so well too. So and even Russ has the great pocket mobility. Kyler has that more like vertical, while Russ is a little bit of both, but with Brees and with Tua, it's more in the pocket. Actually, Brady does this really well. It's
just short passes.
Yeah, finding that little gap in your pocket, and you're just like, okay, look, boom, look,
boom. And it's funny because people will like to argue like, oh, Drew Brees is a dump off, which I kind of agree he is. Yeah. And so is Brady, but you know what? That's what makes those guys what they are, and that's what makes Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, even Kyler Murray. That's what makes them what they are. Is those deep balls, but those short routes, those are underrated because those are the ones that
you got to get first downs if you.
Exactly.
You know, so I would pick Patrick Mahomes. Then you have like the Elways, the Lucks of the world are up there. They're better, and Trevor Lawrence. They're better prospects than Kyler was because remember, Kyler only had the 1 year starting at OU. But what Kyler brings athletically, if you just like swap his career and Baker Mayfield's career, it makes total sense.
It does.
It makes total sense.
100%. I agree with you. 100%.
And then you have this because Baker had one of the best college resumes ever, and did win a Heisman. Had one of the best college resumes ever, but you're like, well, athletically, he wasn't on the tier of Elway, Peyton, Luck, Lawrence. Kyler, if he had an extra year as a starter, 2 years extra as a starter, I think he's on that tier, and I think talent-wise, he's as good as anyone in the NFL. He has a rocket launcher attached to his right shoulder.
We've seen that.
Lamar probably hasn't beat in terms of like long speed. So like if you said, hey, a quarterback will have a 75-yard rushing touchdown, Daniel Jones excluded, who's going to score that touch? Well, Jones doesn't score it, but I think Lamar is like a 4-2 guy, 4-3 guy. Kyler probably a tick slower, but he makes up for it with like the agility. This is like. I don't want to say Deshaun Jackson, Tyreek Hill, because they could legitimately run 4.2s, but it's like that the difference between running in a straight line and returning punts. The difference between Cordero Patterson, pure unadulterated speed, and Devin Hester. Because Patterson gets a track, runs it beautifully. Hester's like shaking a guy off, Dante Hall, human joystick. Kyler has that like little extra
zip sauce.
Yeah. And then he just gets into situations, gets out of situations, and Lamar's like a tick behind that. So it's like Lamar's a tick faster, but a tick less agile, but they're both incredible athletes. So yeah, to circle back, I don't think Kyler's a bad choice. I would go Mahomes, but I don't think Kyler's a bad choice. And I know, Jack, you disagree, but in the I know,
like I said, if Kyler has it, he hasn't shown it yet.
I get it, and I agree. I've said several times on the app, he hasn't had 10 minutes in a row that I've said, yep, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's had flashes.
See now, what you were saying is how he had that 1 year at OU. I think after leaving OU, it's like he knew he had to leave. He knew he had to go to the NFL. So I think last year he was good. I personally think this year he could be even better than last year, and I'm talking like technical standpoint. Throwing the ball, better decision making, better just mentally. I think he could be better because he didn't get to develop like say some people like Baker did. Because I think Baker was ready for the NFL.
And also, he has the whole baseball thing too.
Exactly. So I think if you're a quarterback that can play baseball, I think that gives you the utmost advantage because you can flick that ball like Mahomes does, sidearm, Stafford sidearm
does.
Exactly. You can sit there and change the game of quarterbacking forever what they're doing. Like now you're seeing Mahomes halfway on the ground, like, oh, let me zip this 50 yards for an interception that should have been a touchdown off the face of Darrell Williams. That to me it blows my mind because they're changing the game, and Kyler Murray is the person that will have that game-changing pass, to have that game-changing moment where you're like, this guy really just did that against a professional team.
You look at, I think the best throw I've ever seen in college was Kyler rising up the pocket, essentially at a full sprint in the pocket though.
That's
sprint,
ridiculous.
50-yard bomb in the national semifinal against Alabama. As the second best throw I've ever seen, the best throw actually belongs to Jamarcus Russell. He had one throw.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, his knees.
No. This is in the NFL. Raiders, I think it was Broncos. I think it was Monday Night Football. So he fits it in to a football size. A football size window. This isn't like a little bit bigger than a football. This isn't like. This is a window that if he threw the ball with any less precision, it doesn't work. It gets intercepted. He fit it in right perfectly.
That's
wow. That's going to go in like an intro. When we get the intro, outro, that's going to go in it.
An advisory warning going on before you
I'm going to have to grab that when we're done. Anyways, he threads the needle so perfectly to Johnny Lee Higgins. I've never seen a throw like it. I've seen impressive throws. I've seen Baker had the throw at the end of the second half or end of the first half in the Browns-Ravens game. The second longest tracked ball, I think, in PFF history, launched at 76 yards, and Chuck Clark smashed into the goalpost, which was still hilarious. And then or Aaron Rodgers when he had like a 75-yard pass interference on Nevin Lawson. Like, I've seen some ridiculous. I've never seen one as accurate as what Jamarcus Russell did that day.
Mary Aaron Rodgers with a Randall Cobb in the back of the end zone against the Giants and
that one, or you have the one against the Lions for Richard Rodgers.
I was watching that. That one hurt.
Or the double Hail Mary against Arizona. Jeff Janis, what are you doing? That was ridiculous. But yeah,
it's like that catch like Jeff Janis, and you're like, "Where's he now?" Oh, he's a grocery bag or somewhere. Okay, great.
It happens. Hey, do you want to do something squash? Oh wow, I screwed that up. Do you want to do some squash splash?
Squash the splash.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let me get the questions up. All right. So
I'm
basically, if you know how
I
don't know if you know how the format works, but basically we're just gonna like go back and forth with trivia questions. We'll do 3, I think, this time instead of 5. Okay. I don't know what I've asked and what I haven't asked, so
I'm still the king. Tixa did not remove my crown.
Is this what we started last week? We started last week.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Let's see if I can get the crown from you.
Okay. Here's a cool one. Okay. Multiple choice. Here we go.
All right. So Stefan starts, and if you get it wrong, the other person has a chance.
Fingers crossed this information's accurate, by the way. Of the 4 QBs on the Packers roster right now, how many are not first-round picks? A2, B1, C4.
How many are not? And you go ahead and give me the answer. Choices again. It was A1,
2, B1, C4.
I think it's 1.
That would be correct. the only one.
And then who's the other one?
What is it? So it says Rodgers, Bortles, and Love are all first round picks.
It's Bortles, not Gabbert. That's my.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, we'll go to NBA. Okay. For this one.
Taking that crown splash.
This might be easy as hell. I don't know.
First point by a guest. Congratulations. Let's hear it.
Okay. How many non-consecutive? This is not multiple choice. How many consecutive freshmen have been selected number 1 overall?
How many freshmen have been selected?
Consecutive freshmen.
Okay. How many consecutive freshmen have been number overall?
So as of 2020, correct?
I guess so. It doesn't say.
Okay. So you have Ant Edwards in 2020, Zion in 19, Ayton in 18. Simmons in 16. 17 was Fultz. 15 should be Towns. 14 Wiggins. I think Anthony Bennett was a freshman. Davis was. Okay, I think Blake is the last non-freshman. So I'm going to say it's been 11 straight freshmen to go number 1 overall.
It was 10.
Oh, you didn't give Stefan a chance.
Well, you said it was. I didn't. You're right. I goofed out.
Is it 10?
It is. We'll treat that one as a double incorrect because I didn't give him a chance. Blake Griffin was the last one, though.
Wait a minute. Blake Griffin was the 09. Did I say 11?
You said 11.
Frick. Wait, that should be right. 2010 to 2020. 10,
Yeah.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Okay, so this is wrong again.
Okay, and
I don't
then
know.
John Wall was a freshman.
I need to talk to Javi about these questions, man.
Okay. Well, give me the point for that.
Give him the point.
All right, we'll give him the point. All right, we'll just do one more time.
He knew exactly what he was talking about. If he was like, that's.
We'll just end it with a tiebreaker here, I guess, because I don't know what I've done here. Okay.
We could have a sudden death, like penalty.
Sudden death.
Penalty.
Overtime.
Let me find it. Let me find a good sudden death question. I only have 30 to pick from, so the selection isn't that great. Which player NBA has scored the most points in a single game?
Wilt Chamberlain 100.
That's correct. I figured one of you was.
It's like I'm just like
100.
Yeah. Do I just say?
Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, I think I want to. I randomly laughed at this in the middle of the show because I was scrolling back to try to see whether or not you had posted hot takes, and I saw Tixa, our best friend of the show, make this hilarious post because FIFA 22 revealed their cover athlete today, and it was, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Mbappe or whatever. Yeah. Mbappe, something like that. And so
bad penalty taker.
So Tixa posts this. I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
It's the FIFA 21 cover with the 2 taped over it. And he's like, look, guys, I got the new FIFA 22. I have never seen this level of laziness from EA before, where they put the same guy twice in a row.
Leo Messi was on like 7 covers.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but like consecutively?
Yes, consecutively.
Oh my god!
But they're just being lazy with it. It's like the whole Madden cover. It's like,
I have words about that. 7 in a row.
I got to see this Messi FIFA covers.
Is EA even trying anymore to like entertain us, or are they just throwing out games with the same engine and the same commentary? Like, oh, here's the same athlete. Let's just make it updated.
Okay, Messi was on 4 straight covers from 13 to 16. Jesus. Now, I will add the caveat that sometimes they would have a secondary player on it. So, for example, FIFA 16, you could get a cover with Alex Morgan on it because I believe that's the year they introduced women's soccer.
Yeah,
games.
I actually just remember too, like I think the last 2 years before 21, they had Ronaldo on both of the covers. So.
Yep.
And they had Hazard on one of them.
Which is ironic because like Juventus has like this they have an exclusive rights deal with what's that company called? Whichever company makes Pro Evolution Soccer. So that team does not appear in they appear in FIFA as like some fake name or something.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's like have you guys ever played the Doug Flutie Maximum Football?
A while ago.
Yeah, okay. It rings a bell.
So instead of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, I believe it was the Atlanta Tech Bees.
Yes, it's the most off-brand thing you've ever seen.
Or like the Georgia Bulldogs, or like the Athens Pitbulls.
I love these off-brand names. It's like when you're making like a franchise of Madden, and it's like, it's the Bandits. It's like what?
Yeah.
It's called. I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's like Piemonte Calcio or something.
Yeah.
Piedmont
Calcio.
Yeah, that's it.
Just go for it. You know, we have the Italian triumvirate on the main show. Just go for the Italian. We didn't talk about the Euros. We didn't talk about the NBA Finals. So Euro final Sunday.
We'll speed run these.
Euro 2020 final, Italy versus England at Wembley. England has never lost a home match
It's coming home
at Wembley.
It's coming Sunday.
Well,
it's going to happen Sunday.
In a major tournament. They won 1966 World Cup. They lost in penalties in the 1996 Euros. So that's scary. I have money on Italy. I had money from the beginning of the tournament, or maybe after one game, on Italy. So I think I win there. They just need to win so I can make some more bets. The NBA Finals, it's very boring, with all due respect to Phoenix and with all due respect to Milwaukee. I knew who was going to win after Anthony Davis got hurt.
And they're blowing them out like it's no one's business now. It's like
the Bucks had like a 10-point lead, had a pretty sizable lead early in game 2, and Phoenix was like,
Giannis put up 42 points.
Yeah, Giannis.
What does he have to do?
Yeah, Giannis had 20 and a quarter. LeBron hasn't done that. Kevin Durant hasn't done that. Kobe never did. Shaq never did. It's like I think it's Elgin Baylor, MJ, and Giannis. That's it. 20 points in a NBA Finals.
It's like that Kevin Hart thing. Help me, help me.
It was. I like basketball, but it's hard having a rooting interest like the Cavs years, all the years they lost the Warriors.
I'm rooting for the Suns. I'm just like, it's hard to root for them because they beat my team, but it's like it's kind of a crazy miracle run they're on, I guess.
But it just doesn't have that zip, that splash.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that. Because like you said before, every team is hurt.
And it's actually, at this point, I don't really think it's the injuries. It's just
the play.
The Suns are better than the Bucks. You don't need to tell me 5 times. I know the Suns are better than the Bucks.
Unless the Bucks can do what the 16 Cavs did. And to that point, there hasn't been, to be honest, to me, there hasn't been a good finals since, I would say, the Cavs Warriors feud that they had, because even the Spurs Miami series, in
13
Cavs,
it was really good.
Yeah, up until I think 20, I think honestly until the bubble, it's just been nothing but even the bubble was just, to me, I don't understand the word boring. It's just not fulfilling what I want to see in a game.
Right. And it's when you went into the bubble, it's like the Lakers are the best team.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, there's you look at other sports, you can the Dodgers won the World Series. They were favorites going into the playoffs. It's like, are they actually going to win? There is some drama there. There was I didn't feel there was any drama with the Lakers last year.
And they won 4, was it 4-2? They won 4-2, right?
4-2.
Yeah, it was 4-1, 4-1, 4-1 then 4-2.
To me, that's just
they lost game 1, and I was just like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's it's okay. They lost game 1.
But this year, there's been no drama for me. It was Lakers or Suns. Whoever wins the series probably goes to the West Finals. And then maybe there's a team in the East, the Bucks, the Nets, the Sixers. Maybe, but I would still bet on the Suns or bet on the Lakers. And it's it's
just not there anymore for now. It's you're lacking the excitement, or you're lacking the. I don't even know. It just doesn't seem like the same NBA Finals that we've been watching.
Yeah,
for the last 10 years.
Let me try to make this relatable. So when you have a DVR and you have a limited number of shows you can record at a certain time, right? This finals is the first finals in any sport that I'm like, Mom, you can watch your Chopped. That's okay. You can watch. Chopped is goated. You can watch your Chopped. You can watch your
anything else. I don't really care.
In my case, it would be like HGTV or something.
You can watch your NCIS, CS, whatever you want to watch. You can watch it. I'm good. Game 1, we had a big storm. Our satellite was down. Cool.
Game 2, game 1. Game 2, Elsa's hitting us. I'm flipping the channel. Oh, NBA Finals is great. The news is telling us about Elsa. I'm like, you know what? Score is a blowout. I'm just watching the score on my phone. Let it be. Let's watch something different.
After the third quarter, I'm like, the Bucks aren't going to win this game, and I just started.
They're not going to win. They're going to lose 4-1.
I hate when sports are like this, because I felt this way for a little bit about the Chiefs, because it's like the Chiefs are just going to win the Super Bowl, and then it's the more you think about it, this Bucks team has way too many superstars for me to just totally ignore them. So I did pick Kansas City to win on air, but thought it would be a close game. Good job, Buccaneers there. But this is, I don't know.
But do you think the Super Bowl against the Niners was even I watched that one and they were like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo made that one pass, Emmanuel Sanders would have been a different game. But that whole game just even seemed like it was.
After the Chiefs took the lead, I actually will admit I got a little concerned about the Chiefs during that game, because they had made a couple bad throws and turned the ball over. twice in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I was concerned.
Mahomes had an awful game.
And
People
Jimmy
don't talk about
Garoppolo
it
just
as
gave it
well.
right back to him, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, well, let's just have it. You go ahead.
Okay, to me, the Chiefs run last year felt like when you play Madden and you have like moments, right? You're always going to win the moment. You just have like an ultimate team.
You just have to hope the rest of it goes right too.
Yeah, you're always going to win it. It doesn't matter because it's just the like I remember the Falcons Patriots, the mutt after you got to come back from down 25. If you fail, you just get to redo it. So it never felt to me in the entire Chiefs run in 19, it never felt to me that they weren't going to win the title.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and Stephen, you're going to kill me for saying this.
I love when he says that. He knows because he knows. We
know exactly where we're going here.
Oh, Aaron Donald trains with knives?
We really need a shirt. I will buy that shirt.
I will wear it proudly.
The sports desk merch. Jack, you need a quote or something.
God.
Aaron Donald.
I need a quote for sure.
I don't know what your quote would be.
Anyway, the Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly never felt like Tampa Bay was going to lose that series.
That's fair.
Those are the words you want to hear. I know, I can tell, but like,
didn't I call it being 4-1?
Yes,
I was like,
you got the score right when you were on the show. Yeah, you said it was going to be 2-1.
He did call 4-1. He said,
"Yeah, Patriots Rams was."
Okay, get that off the screen. Get that off the
screen. Thank you. Who is that? I will sponsor.
It's my cousin.
Noah. Yes.
Yes, Noah. Tell your cousin that I never want to hear him again. God, it was boring though. Honestly, like if I would have watched that from a neutral standpoint, I would have just.
It was boring, but you know what though? It was some of it was like, it's gonna be kind of
when it was tied 3-3.
Exactly.
Which was like 90% of the game. But yeah, like I never felt like Tampa Bay was gonna lose that series. Like especially like you look at Game 5, I'd say is the biggest example of this. I don't think Tampa Bay played very good in Game 5, but they were just still so much better than Montreal.
I mean, Game 4. To be honest, Game 4 was
more
the sloppiest game I've ever seen Tampa.
Yeah,
play.
like it
even
was.
Though they were like they played like crap, yet they were still better than the Canadiens.
I'll put it to you this way. When you have a double minor that's going to roll into overtime, where you can score and win the Stanley Cup with Montreal's captain in the box, you don't score. And then Montreal scores like 20 seconds after the power play ends.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Sports are wild, folks.
I love it, though. See, but you know what, though? I would say this, even though it was a 4-1 series, this Lightning, I'm not trying to be even the bias, this Lightning series is way more interesting than the NBA Finals is.
It was.
That's fair.
But I feel like that's kind of a sport thing, too, because like playoff hockey is definitely, I would watch a playoff hockey game.
And I love basketball. I'm an NFL. Like I was always like basketball over hockey up until recently. And now I'm just like, you know what? Hockey is just starting to get to that point where I just don't want to not watch it because it's like it's interesting, it's fun, it's exciting. It's especially when your team's winning, it makes you want to even gravitate more towards it. And the NBA it just seems like it's starting to slowly decline in viewership and just
peaked in the first round.
Exactly.
Like I was, it's like, hey, Dad, or my dad's like, hey, let's make some food. I'm like, I want to watch Luka Doncic.
Right, yeah. It was a very exciting first round. That first round had everything, but then the smaller it got, it just kind of got like.
And then it's like, the Suns are just going to win it. Like, I was talking in a group chat the other day, and I asked, when was the last meaningful upset that changed the champion? Last meaningful upset in the NBA?
2016 Cavs Golden State Warriors.
I don't even think that's an upset.
Really?
That's like a team with LeBron James.
Down 3-1. Down
3-1.
That's a comeback heading into the series. Into the series, if you said the Cavs win in 7, that's a pretty reasonable prediction. Yes,
but not the way that they did in 7. So I
agree with that. I agree with that. But I think the gist of like if you said the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl, yeah, that's fine. Are they going to win by 22? No, what the Chiefs are obviously not going to lose by 22. Then okay, that's the shock value. But the last NBA real upset I could remember is like the 2011 finals that mattered because like the Heat weren't upset. The Heat were the favorites. Well,
that was Mavericks one, right?
Yeah, in 11.
That was a great one. That was great.
Heat in 12, Heat in 13. You betting odds. If you picked Miami to win the finals heading into that playoff, that's a pretty reasonable prediction. Spurs in 14, reasonable. 15 Warriors, reasonable. 16 Cavs, reasonable. 17, 18 Warriors, reasonable. 19 Raptors, you can make the argument that it's not reasonable, but knowing what we know now about Giannis in the playoffs, maybe. And then you factor in Kevin Durant missing most of the finals, Klay Thompson practically dying in Game 6. The Raptors one, I guess I wasn't as invested. You can argue for that one, but I don't think it's great that you can go into the playoffs and then there was no upset last year with the Lakers.
Yeah, no,
you have a decade and you have really 2 meaningful upsets.
And that goes to the point I was saying earlier. It's like it just seems like the NBA lately has just been like a meh. If it's on, it's on. I really don't care. Mm-hmm. As if when the Celtics were playing the Lakers back in 2010, me and my mom were sitting
that was
watching, and we're watching the game on my couch. We're like, oh my gosh, she's like getting up, and she's enjoying it. My mom hates sports at times, and ever since the whole Kobe era with the Boston Celtics, ever since she liked it. And every time she gets a chance, it's like, but now it's like, I don't even want to watch it. I love sport. I love all the sport. It's just not worth it because it's just I hate.
It's like would I rather stab Italians in Assassin's Creed or watch the Bucks watch some Greek dude lose? Some of it, like I didn't play Assassin's Creed 2 when I was younger. I'm getting back into it now. Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, we have some video games corner. I know Jack, you love your video games.
I do.
So
I wore an esports jersey on a show like last week or something.
With that, I think we should wrap it up. We got for a long time. So thanks as always, Stefan. It was great to have you on. You're always welcome.
Guys, thank you.
Congratulations to your Lightning. Hopefully,
there you go. Got it.
Hopefully, Stevie Yzerman brings the Lightning. Wow, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Hopefully, Stevie Yzerman brings the Red Wings back some of your magic so they can escape from.
I love the Red Wings back in the day, so hopefully, it's good to see them come back down here though, where I go. So it's always good.
So hopefully, Detroit gets some Stevie Y magic. So, with that said, Jack, any last words before we wrap it up?
Aaron Donald trays with knives.
Sure.
I got nothing. All right.
That should be his new Twitter handle.
Yeah. So make sure you like the stream on YouTube, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We're really close to monetization. Every view counts. Share it with
us.
We're almost there.
Share it with that stranger you met that you had one class with in high school or one.
Or the guy you met at the bar that you're drinking with, just show him it and just let it go.
Yeah, or share it. Like I have some group meets that I'm in from college. Just throw it at the group me. You know what? If no one looks at it, no harm, no foul.
If they do, it's one view.
I can't have negative people. We can't have negative people look at it. So why not follow U Stadium on Twitter, follow U Stadium on Instagram, banger stuff. Download the U Stadium app. I know it's a dry spot of the NFL offseason. I get it. I have to push bloody content for these people.
we are very close to training camp. I'll say that right now.
I know.
Join before it gets
in 13
crazy.
days, the Buccaneers and Cowboys open camp. Is it Cowboys and Steelers? I know the Cowboys do. I think the Bucks open earlier than the rest of the league besides Cowboys Steelers because they play in the Hall of Fame game.
I believe so.
I think we're 13 days away. We're 13 days away, and we get real football next month. Well, it's preseason, but real football.
It's football.
Just join now because you won't miss anything. I'll tell you that much right now.
We are
all covered. All 32.
We are pushing out all sorts of stuff, and we're ready for some banger stuff. I do some exclusive stuff too, so stay tuned for that.
He does. I can attest to that.
Some good stuff. With that said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, follow us on our socials.
Subscribe.
Yeah, you can. I'm at Splash on the U Stadium app. He's at Jack Mitchell, and he's
I'm at the Bear.
Yeah. So make sure you follow us. We have some banger content every Friday. We're the one show that I think we've had 26 straight Fridays. We've had a show.
Kind of crazy.
This is our half-year anniversary, Jack. How do you feel about that?
Damn, we're moving on up in the world. I like it.
I'm glad to be part of 2 of this 26.
Thank you. Well, with that said, folks, it's time to wrap it up. And remember,